Is it possible for an ideal marriage to end abruptly? Yes, without a doubt. I know this because I experienced it myself. And now, I finally feel ready to share my story. Amelia and I go way back, literally, all the way to our school days. We were in parallel classes and lived right next door to each other. What started as a simple friendship eventually blossomed into love, and later, something even deeper. Naturally, we were each other's first. She patiently waited for me to finish my service in the Army. Afterward, I went to university, and only after that did we get married. By the way, we paid for the wedding entirely on our own. We didn't ask our parents for any help. From the very beginning, we lived life on our own terms. We didn't plan on having children anytime soon. Honestly, the thought of diapers and baby clothes didn't excite either of us, at least not until we hit our 30s. In the meantime, we focused on saving money for a down payment on a house. But when the time came, the bank refused our mortgage application. That setback led us to come up with a new plan. The mortgage would be taken out in my father's name, and once we paid it off, we'd transfer ownership to ourselves. To be honest, I felt incredibly fortunate in that moment to have my father's support. Over time, things started to improve. Our income steadily increased, and we didn't rush to pay off the mortgage early. We bought a car, then another one. Since I worked as a self-employed programmer, we decided to keep these purchases in my parents' name to avoid drawing unnecessary attention to our finances. Why not use Amelia's family name, you might ask? Tragically, her parents had passed away in a devastating car accident. Their vehicle had skidded on a slippery highway and collided with oncoming traffic. The loss was shattering for both of us. I mourned their deaths as deeply as Amelia did. It took time, but Amelia eventually managed to climb out of that dark pit of grief, and together we found our way back to something resembling normal life. Our relationship was solid. We never fought, not even over small, everyday things. We always resolved issues calmly and with understanding. In fact, I used to joke that it sometimes got a little too quiet around here. But then, out of nowhere, something happened that I still don't fully understand. Amelia exploded all at once. She had always gone to the grocery store by herself, picking up the groceries and loading them into the car. I never gave it much thought. Once she got home, it was just part of our routine. But that day, something was different. I could hardly remove the bags from the car before she yelled at me, her voice full of pure annoyance. I reached out to console Amelia, but she backed away, wiping away her irritated tears. I thought I was going to pass out from the weight of it all. If you had just called, I would have come. Why can't you figure things out for yourself, just once? She snapped. Her words cut like shards of glass. She didn't stop there. Jumping to her feet, she stormed toward the door. "Where are you going?" I asked, stunned by her sudden outburst. "I'm tired." "I'm staying with Lucy for now," she said, her voice breaking as she slammed the door behind her. For the first time in my life, I felt like a complete idiot. She had screamed at me over something as trivial as groceries and then walked out on me. But deep down, I wasn't a fool. I knew it wasn't really about the groceries. Something else was bothering her, something she hadn't told me. Still, I convinced myself she just needed time to cool off. Days turned into weeks. At first, I tried reaching out, calling, texting, anything to get her to talk to me. But Amelia didn't respond. By the third week, I gave up. The silence stretched on for another 2 weeks until one day, Lucy showed up at my doorstep. Yes, that Lucy, Amelia's best friend, the one she'd been staying with for the past 6 weeks. "Hey, Mason." I had never been a big fan of Lucy, but today something about her felt different. "What are you doing here?" "Did Amelia send you?" I asked, narrowing my eyes as Lucy entered my apartment without my invitation. Her voice was calm, but there was an undertone of something unsaid. "Let's just say this was my decision." She pouted, folded her arms, and sat down on the couch, draping one leg over the armrest in a manner that seemed almost calculated. "I'm trying to save your marriage," I said, irritation beginning to seep into my voice. She hesitated before suddenly approaching me and leaning in to kiss me. Before I could react, she said, "Turns out Amelia's not quite the angel you thought she was." Her tone dripped with malice. I froze, stunned. After her parents died, she needed a little diversion. So she joined a dating site. My heart sank. Then her hands started sliding toward my pants. That was it. I jumped back, my skin burning with shock. I stood there, frozen in disbelief, as Lucy grinned slightly. "But you know, if you're tired of her games, I'm always around." "What do you expect me to do with this information?" I asked, my voice cold. Lucy's grin faltered. "Suit yourself, Mason. From the top of the world to this," she spat. "Get out," I reply, my tone sharp as steel. "And you can tell Amelia she's not welcome here anymore. Not in my place." "But this is her apartment too," Lucy said, trying to hold her composure. "No," I corrected, my voice firm. "This is my father's apartment. And the car she's been driving to her dates? That's his too. Leave the keys in the mailbox. And Lucy, it's better if you don't come back here." With that, I opened the door and motioned for her to leave. She stormed out, and I slammed the door behind her. At first, I felt nothing. I had grown so used to living without Amelia that I barely noticed the void anymore. Sure, during the week she was pulling away, I had nagging doubts, fleeting thoughts like, could she really just leave? But I always pushed them aside. Now, my suspicions were confirmed. She was gone. And strangely, I felt lighter. The divorce was quick and painless, at least from a legal standpoint. There was nothing to divide. But Amelia didn't go quietly. She started bombarding my phone, desperately trying to reach me. She finally returned the keys and threw them at me in frustration. "You're really going to let your wife just roam the world like this?" she muttered bitterly. I looked at her and said, "Honey, you left on your own." And that was it. That's how it happened. That's how it ended. I never saw it coming. But what's done is done. I didn't respond when it came to the car.